and that one has been burning for a very long time. Every once in a while, I come back over here and remember I left this poor thing sitting here, and I wonder if I'm ever going to be able to, maybe just get away from this area. Hello, everybody. This is Frogman. Welcome back to Factorio Space Age. We have been busy. We have done a fair amount of exploring, and we've managed to build a decent amount of science. And I've gone ahead and researched pretty much the majority of what I was planning on researching for the, the Aquillo science, Aquillo Research. So we now have the ability to make captive biter spawners. We do have the quantum processors unlocked. We have the new foundations unlocked. I've not, well, I should say, I've done the fusion reactor, done the portable fusion reactor, done the railgun, done a few of the just normal things over here. I have not done legendary quality, mainly because of the fact that I'm not ready to deal with legendary quality, and I have not done a whole lot of rocket part productivity, but we have now at least got I think we're up to 60% extra productivity when it comes to producing rockets, and that's kind of an interesting thing given that it only costs, like 100 parts or something like that, or 10 parts, or it's not a whole heck of a lot to make a rocket. You can get to that point where those rockets don't cost you hardly anything at all if you really, really, really want to. So we're just kind of sitting here doing the normal thing, though, doing a little bit of research. I've been kind of playing around. Unfortunately, I don't think you can see it because I've been kind of AFK'd for just a second here while I was doing a couple of other things. Give me my button here, and let's go back about there and look down here. So the number is 133. Can we get this up a little higher? Where is that number? 872 was 10 hours ago. Something along those lines. We're now sitting at a comfortable 1100 or so science per minute based on the fact that I have this many labs. I've done a little bit of work. I've moved a few things around. We now have, I moved a few things around because there was a pile of plastic production right here that I want to move because it's roughly, what did I figure, about 16 science per minute per lab that I think we're doing right now currently, and that's going to be before we can do any of the Promethium science packs. Once we get to be able to start doing that a little bit better, we'll have a little bit more fun. So I figured I would at least clear out a little bit of space so that if I wanted to do one more of these down here, we can. So that'll get us up to I forget exactly, something like another 12 or 1500 science per minute. With the productivity that's currently happening in here, we're eating somewhere in the neighborhood of, I guess I can go back in here. I want that production consumption for an hour should give me a little bit of an idea. We were consuming somewhere in the neighborhood of like 400 science a minute, something like that, which isn't too terribly bad, at least as far as these go. Everything around here on this planet, everything on this planet should be good for at least 500 or a little more science per minute production, which means the actual little chemical science pack, little science packs, these little guys right here, we're making somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 per minute. Now, I have not gone and upgraded this mess, so we're still sitting on speed module 2s and productivity module 2s, and it's going to be one of the next big projects why I'm not doing anything right now, because I've been kind of working on other things around base, at least for a little bit. So, but yes, we're able to do that kind of stuff. As far as Aquillo, let's go check out Aquillo real quick since we're over here. I've had a revelation, something that didn't quite drop into my brain right off the bat, was the fact that lithium is finite. And lithium is finite in that it's like a mining production facility. It's like this is a miner. This isn't a pump jack, so to speak. So this went away really quickly. I mean, we've got 700,000 there, but I think we started like 1 million or something like that. So I had to run a train line over to the next nearest available lithium where we have 4 million. This is a pain in the tail, and I wished I would have put a radar over here. The pain in the tail is that you need to be able to warm this area. You can't really see it, but there's one of the little heat tower thingies, one of these right here, heating tower thing that's right here. I'm pulling the solid fuel out of the engine that is right here, delivering it into a chest, and then dropping it into here. So that's how I'm getting the fuel over there, and we have 3 tanks to pull the lithium back as well. So it's kind of an interesting thought, and it's one of those, you don't really ever think that you could use an engine as a inventory, but since we have an engine going one direction, this engine heading to the island is capable of hauling 3 stacks of stuff over here. Once it gets there, you can dump whatever it doesn't use into a box, and then this engine will drag itself all the way back over here and then fill itself back up so that they both fill up. So I did go ahead and do another little bit more work down here. We've moved our power down, and it is now self-sufficient. At least for the time being, it's self-sufficient, because anytime I fiddled with the production up here, I lost power. So what I did was basically, let me put it like this. Basically, if you're doing something goofy like this, know that the steam turbine ratio to heat exchanger is not exactly 2 to 1. It's something like, well, let me see. We've got 10 megawatts of max consumption or production as far as what the heat exchanger can do, whereas the steam turbines can do 5.8. But whatever, it doesn't really matter. The point is, that's important here is that each pair of heat exchangers requires one chemical plant eating ice, turning it into water. Well, that's pretty simple, easy to do, because then you just do the math based across however it goes. What I figured out is that 4 of these chemical plants and 1 of these 4 chemical plants producing ice into water versus 1 chemical plant producing, what is this, ammonical solution, ice into ammonia. 1 of those is good enough to keep up with the ice production here. 1 of these is good enough to produce enough of the ammonia to produce the solid fuel that we need, and the solid fuel in this process here is the thing that is the limiter. We're throwing away the extra ice because we're actually making just a little too much. But anyhow, 4 to 1, it's kind of like this, 4 to 1 to 1. So if you want to run 8 of them, it's 8 to 2 to 2 plus the oil coming in. Anyhow, I've also done a little bit more work up here. Yes, I've expanded the production for the ice and the ammonia out. We're expanded a little bit here as well. Changed a couple of things out. Dropped in a whole lot of lithium now because we weren't making enough of lithium, because I did my math wrong. I always do my math wrong. It's just the way things work. I don't know why I thought in my head 20 of these, or 10 of these, 20 of these. I think it was 10 or 20. I think it was 20. I think 20 was the number that I was trying to do math around. I do not know why I thought 20 was going to be producing 300 science per minute. 20 does not produce 300 science per minute. 40 does. So you're looking at trying to make space up for 40 of these cryogenic plants, or 20 with 2 of the speed module 3s in them. Now, I haven't put any modules in these things hardly at all, because they already use a heck of a lot of power. And one of the first things we did do, at least one of the first things that I researched, was where is this stuff? Let me find the cryogenic packs again. I think it's fusion reactor. This thing. Unlocking a fusion reactor will allow you to make fusion reactors and power fusion reactors. So if we look at a fusion reactor, which actually is sitting right here, a fusion reactor is going to take, well, max consumption is 100 megawatts per reactor that you then plug into a fusion generator, or several fusion generators. Assuming it's 2, looking like, at least according to the, well, 100 into 100, 50 into 100 is 2. So that means we can make 100 megawatts of power using the fusion generators. Now, the thing about a fusion generator that I haven't messed with, and I'm probably not going to for a little bit, because I want to kind of kick on with some more of this, and actually while we're thinking about it, let's go ahead and kick off that so I can start worrying about getting the next space platform going. But we'll go ahead and do 2000 research and all of that while we wait. But looking at that fusion generator, we're currently self-sufficient, and by self-sufficient I literally mean it. We're pumping stuff out of the ocean to make fuel, and we're pumping oil to make fuel, so it's not like I need anything else special. Fusion reactors, when you get them built, where is the button? Fusion reactor. Down here in the bottom right hand corner it says, where is it? Pressure. There it is. I gotta find it. Pressure between 100 HPA and 600 HPA on both of those two things, which means you're going to be using them specifically here, because Aquillo, come on, if we click on the thing here and we go away from there, because Aquillo is setting at 300 HPA. Fulgora is 800. Gleba, I think, is 2000. So you're not going to be hauling that fancy fusion reactor back to anywhere else. Now, the thing that I believe is possible is that you can use the fusion reactor on these things, because you're going to have to come up with some way to make a lot of power to get between the last stop out here, Aquillo, and the edge of the solar system and the shattered planet. This is a trip of 4 million kilometers. This is a trip of 100,000 kilometers. So far, the longest we've done is 30,000, which means we're going to have to start planning that interstellar spaceship that's going to be flying, well, from here all the way back to wherever I feel like it's going to go. It's been that time where I haven't wanted to build this thing, because even if I want to fly it all the way back to Novus, it has to go to either Gleba or Fagora, then to Aquillo, then to the edge of the system. But in order to be able to continue any of the stuff or the fun stuff or the really interesting, I mean, like the final interesting science, which is going to be these Promethean packs, we have to be able to get to the shattered planet so that we can collect parts to make it. But the interesting thing is in here is this research productivity. This one right here, when we get that research productivity, what it's going to allow us to do is increase the productivity of the research we put in our labs, which means all of this silly goofing around with the productivity and this stuff and everything here, everything that's built the way that it is, instead of building my base bigger, all I do is keep researching that technology, and my labs will get better, meaning they'll use less science to make the research. So there's many different ways to be very, very, very efficient about this game. You can build quality, you can build massive, structures kind of like this, and we'll get to this in a second. Or you can, that's a pretty good obvious little thing right there too. You can move from one type of technology to another type of technology. If you guys don't remember, my green circuit processing system used to be about, well, let me grab the blueprint area. It used to be about that big. It's now that big, and I'm making almost 13,000 more blue or green circuits per minute. So yes, quite crazy. Prometheum science packs, we are done. That will allow us to open up the edge of the solar system. So was there any boop-a-doop with that? No, really. Edge of the solar system. All right, let's click on this a minute so we can find out how much fun this is going to be. So we're going to have huge asteroids. Huge carbonic asteroids, huge oxide asteroids, huge metallic asteroids. Yeah, these are the ones that are, this is where the numbers start to go up a little bit more here too. We're still going to have to, oh, that sucks. Can I go back, please? You, click on here. So if we look at the number, we're currently dealing with, I think, big asteroids. So that's 2010, so yeah, we still can't really, So the big asteroids are weak to explosion, which is why we're shooting rockets at them. Huge asteroids are weak to physical. Oh. Oh. But they're weak in of that I have to apply an awful lot of physical damage to them. What kind of damage do you do? 10k plus 24 physical, 24k physical. So we're going to have to put railguns. Yeah, I'm going to have to build railguns. Which means we need quantum processors, which means we need to do a bunch of stuff that I'm not currently doing. We're not building anything outside of everything else. So we're going to have to put... I wonder... We're going to have to build a couple of those to get them set up and see how fast they go, because they don't seem to shoot very fast. So that's 0.05 plus 0.365, so 0.7, whatever, a second. What do these do? I want you. Oh. But I'm assuming, though, it's going to be like 1 or 2 shotting. What is it going to take to make that? Oh. See, this is the thing where I'm 100% certain we're going to have a little bit of fun with the next ship. The next ship's going to absolutely have to be massive because we have to produce steel and copper on it. Which is why I don't think I'm going to even bother with this one. This one's just going to keep doing what it's doing. It's going to keep carting science back and forth and being a very good little critter doing what it needs to do. We're going to have to build something like this, only like 6 times as big, probably. And then it's going to have to be, I don't know, maybe a little bit wide. I really don't know. I think the width might be, depending on how big a... We'll go on that as far as it goes. The width may be how big the coverage of a rail gun is. Can I, like, see that? Oh. They're directional. I guess that's not terrible. So the rocket launchers are still very much wider than those. Okay, just getting ideas for the way that I should be doing stuff, because we're going to have to do a little bit of Aquillo work anyway. So on Aquillo, while we're here, I don't believe I've got everything going. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and set up the production for the new circuit that we just got, the quantum processor, and I may or may not start worrying about fusion right now. I have a notion, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, just because the thing is probably going to end up flying all the way. Well, get back over here. The thing is probably going to end up flying all the way from the Shattered Planet back to Novice, that I might just, instead of worrying about the fusion system here, I mean, we might build a fusion reactor to make Aquillo functional, but I may just end up using regular old fission, nuclear power, this stuff. Where are we? Come here. This stuff right here. Because one of these will run, I forget what it is. One of these will run something like 6 of these, no problem, which 6 of those will run, 12 of these, which is an awful lot of power. And we have tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of production for these things, and I can just throw them away. So I don't know, we'll see. I have had a notion to try it out for a little while, and I just haven't felt like it because everything keeps working. So let's go ahead and get quantum processors going on Aquillo so that we can then start building some of the fun stuff that goes with it, and probably also go ahead and try to build out some of the things. So as you notice, I've tried to make sure that we have as minimal amount of bot interaction as necessary. I think you need to stop working again because you're eating a little too much stuff. Okay. The redstone magic doesn't work all the time. Actually, what I should do, let's hold all belts. What do you see? I want you to be no more than 20. Yeah, we'll do 20. That's fine. Okay. So we're going to get that going. The other thing I wanted to say before we got really nutty is that, yes, I finally went ahead and built a small production facility for green circuits just as a test. This one big gigantic mess out here. Granted, yes, I'm still using the blue assemblers and, again, module level 2s as far as everything goes over here. We were making about 10,000 circuits a minute. About 10,000 if it would run wide open. This little bitty thing right here, this is what I'm talking about, like really, really cool stuff. This little bitty thing right here makes about 13,000 or enough. And here's something that I wanted to talk about because it's a way of improving your production, and I'm trying to get rid of some excess stuff up here because we no longer need of it. How you improve your production so that you can get past the, what is this, 60 per second on these? Yeah, 60 items per second. The stack inserters are capable, stack inserters right here, are capable of picking up 16 items, which is an interesting thing because if you look at this particular level of belt on there, notice there are 32 items sitting on that belt. When you do that, you can take whatever you use when you're using these stack inserters. If you're just trying to do either a really quick upgrade or just try to get something to, upgrade quickly enough so you can get a little more throughput, put these on the belt. Doesn't matter which belt it is, you suddenly quadruple the throughput on the belt. So just because I'm using these stack inserters means this belt, this goes from being a 60 belt to a 240 belt. So that's quite an improvement. So like I said, this one little thing is making something like 215 circuits a second. That one little thing. Whereas our other one was making like 180. That whole big area. So I'm going to slowly, as I get the time to do it, reprocess all of this mess, turn it all into something that looks like this, and then we'll build us a nice little thing that does the work. But for now, that's just one of those kinds of deals. This is what I'm talking about. And like I said, this is before quality. It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. Anyhow, yeah, let's get on to the next part. So, looking here, we need to figure out how to build the new quantum processors. They're going to require processing units, tungsten carbide, superconductors, carbon fiber, lithium plates, and 10 fluoroketone cold. Holy crap. And they're made in an electromagnetic plant, of which I do not have over here. Lovely. Okay, let me get to sending things over here because I don't have everything I need, and we will get to work on that. Just over here doing the usual, doing a little cleaning up on Gleba because Gleba decided it wanted to spawn a couple of things in the area as always. I've done some work, I've done some figuring, and I'm going to do a little bit more goofing I think here in just a second. As soon as we get over here, I want to make sure I do the thing that you do, or at least make sure that you do, because I don't leave the eggs laying around. There we go. Good. They're taking off. I don't leave the eggs laying around in this because, of course, they can possibly, you know, hatch into things. So we have an automatic collection system or an automatic thingy over here that picks them up and dumps them immediately into the science production system so that at least they rot fairly quickly. Because once you convert an egg into science, it can no longer hatch into something that could possibly kill you. I've been steadily doing a bit of mining productivity, running a reasonable number because why not? Mining productivity is always nice, and it's a good way of getting rid of things, and it's a good way of testing to see whether or not your structures and your factories are working. So everything still seems to be functioning decently well over here, and we can go take a look at Aquillo. Now, we were going to try very hard to get well, I wanted to build those processors down here in this little area fairly close to our, well, fairly close, I guess it's not that close at all, somewhat close to our rocket silo. Rocket silos, I can pretty much put these things anywhere I want to, so I guess it doesn't really matter, and it probably should be one of those things that I should think about, like I should probably put one down here so that we can just pump the science right into it, but that's what we're doing anyway. There is no way in heck I could have gotten a reasonable amount of those down here because it requires to use these things. Let's put it up here where it's actually warm so we can see what it does. They require a whole lot of stuff to work. So it's 5 different things to process or to make these quantum processors, including a fluid. So I guess that's 6 things. There's a fluid as well as all of the other little parts and pieces that go along with it. Now, as we know, these things aren't very easy as far as how to make certain things work. Now, you can flip them, you can rotate them, you can do a couple of things, but having the, well, first off, it's a, 1, 2, 3, 4 wide thing. So that means it's an even number. Even numbers are always such a pain in the butt to work with anyway, so I understand why they did what they did. Now, why they couldn't just make it like this, I don't know. 2 things in, 2 things out on one side. Instead, they did it the way they did. That's okay. It's fine. The problem comes when you have to do, when you also have to run a whole lot of heat pipe around to keep things working, and 3 belts at least. Well, excuse me, 4 belts into it because I need to have an output. So that took a little bit. I also did a little bit of cleaning. I mean, in preparation, I tried to clean up this little area so I could get a bus down from the thing into this area. And again, then I realized that it was going to be a kind of a hopeless endeavor, so I stopped. And then I moved up here and figured out that all I really needed to do was line up a little bit of the lithium plate to come up through here and through this mess and do a big old willy woggle and into something that looks kind of like this. Yes, we went ahead and beaconed them. Yes, I went ahead and put a bunch of stuff on it so that we can be roughly making about 2 per minute. Not quite 2, pretty close to 2. It's like, what is it, 4.4. 4 times 4 is, well, almost 5, so we're getting there close. It's almost 2 a minute. It's fine. It doesn't matter. This also required, of course, a little bit of finagling, finally, a little bit of logic in the form of a tank to make sure that we didn't have a problem producing a little too much of the hot fluoroketone, because this has an off product of fluoroketone. So if we look in here, it's going to give us one of these along with a bunch of other things. It's been running a little bit because, well, I've been kind of waiting on these to show up. But anyhow, this is kind of what I came up with. It's pretty ugly, but at least I can keep things, well, warm as the way that it goes, and I am able to get a couple of things in. Using a little bit of some side loading magic, because you can do that with the sides of the underground belts, so we can kind of side load in and around it. Otherwise, I was going to have to stretch this out one more, or put the filler belt up here, and then put a thing like this. So the belt would have had to been up there, which is doable. It just would have required a lot more things, and I would have had to do something kind of like this. This was kind of what I was messing with here to try to figure out whether or not I could sneak this in here. And actually, I want that like that. Anyway, doesn't really matter. So it is functional. It's not an amazing number, mainly when you start to look at what it's going to take to produce our next layer of science, which I do believe is in here. It's going to need one of those, which means depending on how much this works, what do we make those things in? Made in a cryogenic plant, and I think they'll only work on a space station? Yeah. So I can't even see what it does without going to a space station or one of our platforms. This is going to be the fun one, because I hauled a whole bunch of stuff over here just to make those chips. Whole lot of random extra stuff just to make those chips, which may or may not stay. Mainly because of the fact that I have to do this goofiness down here. I am trying like heck not to bottle any of the fluids that we have. And in a sense, what I need to do is I need to be able to bottle this stuff. But the thing is this is kind of built on a science system where if I'm producing science, I'm actually getting an excess amount of this, just like everything else. So we're just barely making enough of the fluoroketone, at least the hot stuff supposedly, to be able to run 40 of these things. So in a sense, probably, I still think I need at least 10 more of these in order to be able to get close to the production of what I have sitting up here, so we're fine. But that also meant, like I said, that I had to start building a little bit of smarts in here to say, well, if there's more than X amount of here, you're allowed to turn on this pump, which will then turn on these machines so that we can then make more cool stuff. Otherwise, the leftovers will be coming in and filling this tank. Well, for the most part. That's the block right there, so that means this will come through and it won't really matter. So yeah, lots and lots of fun. This planet is a pain because there absolutely is no building space. And building space is made by ice. And well, I should probably just start figuring out how to build more area. The next big step, I brought a bunch of stuff over and I wanted to maybe think about doing them really quickly. We have the new circuits. That should mean now I can either handcraft. So theoretically, I can now make one of those. We could make a fusion reactor and 2 fusion generators. What does it take to make their fuel? Holmium, lithium, and ammonia. Made in a cryogenic plant. Oh, Lord. It's not like it's hard. It's just incredibly dense. I think this is the only thing that I'm having the biggest problem with this. I don't have a problem making really dense things. You know, like over here. This is a pretty dense system, and I could actually make these even denser if I tried. Like this is there's not a tile. I don't think there's a tile wasted in those things in here. In this, you're using every single stinking tile you can, because you have to lay down pipe, and then you have to lay down inserters, and then you have to lay down belts, and then you have to lay down something that makes sure that it's all, heated. And if you can't get it all heated, then you have to redesign it so that it is. And when you get dense, like what I'm saying, like dense here, we have to do goofy things like this, where I have to kind of overlay a pipe and then kind of do some more goofy stuff like this. It's the same thing going on up here. I had to do this because I had to be able to get inside here to heat these little pieces. It's definitely a challenge. It's not hard, but it's like puzzling very much. Like if you can do puzzles, if you like doing puzzles and filling things in, this is definitely the planet for you, because it is just nothing but trying to use as much space as you possibly can to keep things going. Anyhow, the last thing I wanted to do, I think, for today is we're going to at least craft 1 fusion reactor, 2 of the things. What are they called? Where are they? You over here. I want to craft one of those and two of these because that's what it looks like at least the thing goes, and then we're going to have it build us a couple of pieces of stuff. I want to see how it works. So let's go ahead, set down. And like I said, I'm just going to plop one of these down in a warm spot and have it build one of these. So one of those is going to be tungsten plate, a little bit of superconductors, and some quantum processors. Bang. 1, 2. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Probably something about like that. Throw those in there and craft it. How much does it take? 200. I need some more. Give me a second. Boop, boop. Throw those in there. Throw that in there. Throw those in there. Make... Holy cow. How much did it want? 250. Boy, I just can't count for nothing. Give me one of those. Go. Bang. And then that's going to take that long to do it. Nice. First fusion reactor. All right. Next step, I want to craft 2 of these. So they're going to need the similar stuff. And it's going to be a little less. Grab some handfuls of things. Go broop and boop. I didn't want that stuff. I might have enough to make 2. Get a couple more here. Thank you. So you're going to need, in order to make 2, I need 200 of that. So bang, bang, and bang, bang, bang. It's 1 and 2. And then to make the thing that fuels them, we need that stuff. Do we have ammonia right here? I think I can probably cheese that really quickly. Yes. Just have to be careful because I think that's connected through. Yeah, that one's connected through. Okay, so there's some ammonia. Then we need a lithium plate and a holmium plate. Grab a bunch of those and grab a bunch of those and make us some fun stuff. That's actually pretty reasonable for the price. I mean, it's not expensive on the holmium, which is kind of the pain. So you're going to get 20 for a stack of plates. Okay, that isn't awful. And we'll just go like this because we don't need it right now and go to there because I'll probably have to set that up somewhere else. All right, 2 test. 2 test. You need cold in again. Where can I get cold in again? I probably should have just left it right over here. Yeah? Can I move that? How big are these things? So they output the hot stuff. And holy cow, these things are massive. And then what kind of a connection is that? Do they have to, okay. And then we have the good stuff over here. I should be able to do something. Oh, gosh darn it. Give me that back. Let's just, like I said, last little bit of testing. I just want to see whether this is going to be something I'm going to try to implement into the system or not. I love it so much. This is just testing. That's all it is. And then that is going to drain into this. Okay, you have stuff. Put one in it. Hey, start producing electric power by fusion power plant. So 50 megawatts of power we're currently capable of producing. Output 3, plasma of 10, plasma temperatures, blah, blah, blah. That's awful quick. Okay, that did... Well, we're currently making, I think all said and done total, prior to turning that on, something like, I don't know, 104 megawatts of power. So now we're making 150. So just for the thing here, if I look at it one more time, this is going to use, it's going to consume 4 a second, and these are going to produce 2 a second each. So it's cyclical. Oh, really? Huh. Okay, well, I think that's going to be something for me to play with at a later date, in a later episode, and a few other little things. I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to actually make this work. But if this is 4 in, 4 out, then all you got to do is take one of these, plug it in right down here, and chill the stuff back off, and then you won't have to do anything with that. Meaning you just this, and this, and then pump it full of a little bit of fuel or fluid, and you fill it full of fuel, and that one has been burning for a very long time. Yeah, very cool. Okay, I will see you all later. Thank you so much for watching. We're getting a little bit further down the line. I think the next big step is going to start building, well, I'm going to have to build this out and make it a lot bigger, and probably start working on figuring out how to get this, either this or this, on a platform. So I'll see y'all later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.